Hello everyone, my name is Nicholas, the mango in question. Let's talk about a little series called Fruits Basket. Without a doubt, the Fruits Basket manga is one of, if not my favorite story across any medium. It's full of such sincere, heartfelt emotion and tackles some serious interpersonal issues with more tact and grace than most other stories dream of doing. A complex cast of realistically flawed and likable characters deal with trauma, hardship, and healing in a way that really resonates with the people who've gone through those issues. The world is truly a brighter place with Fruits Basket in it. This gem of a series released way back in 1999 and soon after took the shoujo world by storm. It was ridiculously popular in the US in the early 2000s and it rose to even greater mainstream, by 2000's anime standards mainstream, success with its anime adaptation. With such a strong following, you'd think the future was bright for Fruits Basket. Well, no. The 2001 anime was the height of its popularity, and after finishing with just one season, was never renewed, leaving the manga to carry out its remaining volumes with a slightly expanded fanbase. The manga continued to do quite well, but people just couldn't get over the fact that the show didn't continue. Petitions, 1,000 paper cranes, and other outlandish events took place. To no avail, of course. Look, it's 2019, and I hate to break it to you, but the old Fruits Basket is kinda trash. It only covered a third of the story, told that story out of order, and removed several plot elements from the manga that were deemed too mature for its time slot. Not to mention the infamous Studio Dean was animating on their usual budget of $3 and a peanut butter sandwich. Looking back with a fresh perspective and having reread the manga last year, I was floored by the mediocrity of it all. But it's okay, after nearly 2 decades of suffering, our savior is here. Fruits Basket, 2019. Let me tell you, I was shook when I heard the news. A new show covering the whole story? It seemed crazy, but here we are and it's right around the corner. This is what I wanted to talk about today. This is not a news video, this isn't a review of the story or a video bashing the old anime, though it could be. This is just a video documenting my expectations and predictions for the new series based off what we know so far. It'll remain here for posterity, and hopefully when I revisit here, it won't be in disappointment over another failed adaptation, but with a warm, fuzzy feeling of happiness that the show delivered on its promise. Let's begin. Natsuki Takei must have simmered at some pretty virulent feelings for years because she's taking some big steps with this reboot that she didn't before. In an interview released with the first promo art for the series, Takei gave some pretty insightful details into the show's production and what kind of say she had in the production details. To summarize things nicely, Takei is now an executive producer on the series. She'll be working with the staff on things as big as what scenes to adapt in what way, to as small as making Kyo's bracelet red and white instead of black and white. She's in pretty deep this time. When she was approached to adapt the series, she had 2 major requests. The first was to change her art style into something more modern. I had mixed feelings about essentially overwriting her art style, but I know that after her hand surgery, her style kinda suffered in the later manga volumes. Plus, the series was undoubtedly very 90s aesthetically, so I think it was a good idea to pull things into a modern style that won't seem dated a decade or so down the line. Plus, over the course of the manga itself, her art style changed drastically. Comparing the most recent versions of these characters, seen on the covers of the re-release of the manga, to the new character designs in the anime, it's not that far off. I think the style in the anime is a little bit more detailed, though the characters themselves are definitely a little lankier. It's a give and take situation. Her second request was that the entire staff working on the show had to be different from the original show. Not one returning person. Pretty sure this is the bad blood between her and the old anime rearing its head. She recently went on record about her involvement in the new anime. I said yes after confirming as much as I could about all aspects of the anime. There are no people involved in the production that will just make selfish decisions about the characters and story moving forward. I'm so relieved, since not everyone is good at that. I for one have no issue here, as the new staff seems very capable, and I have high expectations. Here's a quick rundown. Our new studio is TMS Entertainment. Best known for Detective Conan and Lupin III, this studio is used to long-running productions and can really show off their budget when they need to. Lupin III in particular manages to adapt an older visual style and execute it really well. Another more relevant comparison is their work on Kami-sama Kiss, a shoujo comedy in the same vein as Fruits Basket. Incidentally, they also have the same director as the old Fruits Basket anime, but, that's not what I'm trying to say here. This shows that they can really adapt similar material. The new trailers themselves seem promising, even if they are taking shortcuts here and there. It's at least presented very well. On to the principal staff. Our director is Yoshihide Ibata. As of now, he's only directed one other show, but the real focus here is the storyboarding and individual episode direction that he's done. Storyboards are a much more intimate look at how the anime will look at the end. The director has input, of course, but some even storyboard the scenes as well. It looks like this will be the situation here, as Ibata has worked on series that have tackled emotion-heavy and cinematography-focused scenes. Maria the Virgin Witch, Your Lie in April, Rouge of Bahamut Genesis. You get the picture. I think we're in good hands. Series composition, Tako Kishimoto. This role is more important than you might think. It's one thing to have the story sitting there in manga form, but to adapt it smoothly, pacing and scripting-wise to an episodic format is really important. Kishimoto has done series composition for Silver Spoon, Joker Game, the entirety of Haikyuu, and Erased. Again, I think we're in good hands. I believe he'll be able to execute the more sensitive scenes of Fruits Basket with tact. With a strong backing on the production side, let's break down our cast. I watched the English dub and obviously will again when the new show comes out, but with major changes on both the Japanese and English side of things, it's worth a second look. With the new trailers out, we have a good idea of what we can expect from the Japanese dub, and with the English cast mostly unchanged, I think I can make some pretty strong predictions on how things will play out there as well. For the English cast, the actors for Toru, Yuki, Kyo, Shigure, Hattori, Ayame, and Hatsuharu will all be returning. The English side of things had no restrictions on returning cast and crew. I mean, why would it? It has nothing to do with how the show is made over in Japan. And in order for the show to return to its English audience in any capable capacity, Funimation had to bring back as much of the cast as they could to really create that boom that the show originally had when it first released. And I have no issues here. Laura Bailey, Chris Sabat, and John Bergermeyer were perfect casting in my opinion, and I can't wait to hear them again. Eric Vale as Yuki is going to be interesting, because manga Yuki and old anime Yuki are very different. Wallflower Yuki is dead, and emotionally scarred Yuki is here instead. He's going to have to really change his performance for this essentially new character. Jerry Jewell as Kyo is perfectly acceptable. I have no issues with his past performance, but again, manga Kyo has a lot more baggage, and when these scenes are adapted, well, he's really going to have to nail the subtlety here. Justin Cook and Kent Williams were a little weaker in my opinion. Of course, this was nearly 20 years ago, so I hope I can expect some great performance out of them now. The only other major role I can comment on now is Colleen Clinkenbeard as Akito. I think we really need a solid androgynous performance, and though she has voiced both male and female characters, it's really going to come down to hearing it, so we'll see. Let's remain optimistic. As a side note, Caitlin Glass will be the ADR director, with no news on the adaptive scriptwriter yet. These roles will be so important and really bringing out the best performances in our actors. A great ADR director can be completely undermined with an awful adaptive script. I mean, it's happened before, unfortunately. Wish I had predictions, but I can really only hope for the best. I usually wouldn't comment on the Japanese cast, but with everyone being replaced, I'm optimistic. Of course, I can't act like I know anything about these actors or the subtleties in their performances because I don't speak Japanese, go figure. I can only speak to an emotional side of things and not a technical side. I mean, I'm sure I've heard everyone in the Japanese cast at some point, but I'm just going to talk about two in particular. Real quick though, Manaka Iwami as Toru is way less grating than Yui Horie was. That's just one reason I never watched the sub. I remember listening to it briefly to see how it sounded, and I'm like, nope, let's not do that. YouTube might nab me for copyright for comparing these voices, so no samples here, unfortunately. Just trust me. Trust me. She's better. Anyway, here are my people of interest. Maya Sakamoto and Yuma Uchida. Maya is a hardened veteran voice actor. She's been around for well over 2 decades and can do no wrong. The variety of her roles is staggering, and she's voiced both female and male characters. One of my favorite roles of hers that culminates all of her talents nicely is Haruhi Fujioka from Ouran High School Host Club. With the announcement of her casting as Akito Soma, I was thrilled at the potential here. Maya's voice is a great fit for the androgynous Akito, and I'm stoked to see how she handles Akito's cold and manipulative personality, something she really hasn't been cast for before. So I'm very excited about that. As for Yuma Uchida, he's a relative newcomer in comparison, but I really fell in love with his performance as Ash Lynx in Banana Fish. Ash was such a multifaceted character, but also a boy of 17. The humor, drama, anger, anguish all came across so naturally in his performance that with his casting as Kyo Soma, I was again thrilled. I really feel like this was perfect casting, and I can't wait to hear what he brings to the table. All in all, I think we have the making for a solid production. I really wanted to lay down my thoughts on what we knew so far so that I could hopefully look back on these predictions positively. I intend to keep up with Fruits Basket as it airs, so expect updates in the future. Hopefully this video gave some more insight into all the technical things that make up an anime. There's really more to a successful anime than most people realize. This was my first time tackling a video like this, so please feel free to share your thoughts. Until next time, adios from the Mango, and I hope you'll watch Fruits Basket with me.